Salutations viewers, and welcome to the first video I've done in about a year for this channel. Since my last video, I've been exposed to more and more Mega Man games, now owning the entire Classic, X, Zero, and ZX series on my Switch. I figured it was about time for me to do something with these games, and as the Classic series is the one I had the most exposure to, I figured I'd rank the Robot Masters. After all, bosses are my favorite parts of video games. The rules are simple. I've scored each boss by two categories: how well the fight is when doing it Buster only, and how well it works when facing the boss with their weakness. This list is my personal opinion, so you may have your own and that is fine. Now, with that all the way, we can start with my least favorite Robot Master fight. Number 86, Shadow Man. He jumps, he slides, he throws shurikens. Doesn't sound so bad, right? Well, imagine that at 3 times speed. Shadow Man has some good attack patterns on paper, but the way he moves is just too fast to enjoy this fight. And the top spin for his weakness, it's not the worst weapon in Mega Man like many think, but it is way too finicky to use, and if he has iframes and you keep hitting him, there goes your ammo. Mega Man 3 is my second favorite Mega Man game, but this boss is definitely its low point. Number 85, Elect Man. Remember what I just said about Shadow Man? Well, the same applies here. As Buster only, Elect Man is a maniac hopping around and shooting giant lightning bolts that take away a third of your health. Try this one for yourself. It takes a ton of patience and precision to get good damage on him. The only thing that puts him above Shadow Man is the weakness. Rolling Cutter is a much better weapon as you can fire it almost like the Mega Buster, and it takes out a third of his health. That's the only thing saving this Robot Master from dead last. Number 84, Bright Man. Did you not like those other Robot Masters being too fast? Well, this time, you're too slow. Bright Man jumps around the room and shoots Mega Busters in a nice pattern, but then he uses his time-stopping ability. This in and of itself isn't too bad, but from my experience there are very few reliable opportunities to jump where you can avoid his shots, but more often than not, he just jumps at you, taking away a ridiculous amount of health. And it's pure RNG when this happens or not. Brain Flush makes this fight a bit better, but it's not going to stop him from freezing time and making you watch as he rams into you. This fight really could have been improved. Number 82, Dive Man. Dive Man presents you with the challenge of a Robot Master lunging right at you. That's fine, you say. Then, that Robot Master pulls a 180 and immediately rams into you for huge damage. That's Dive Man. He is too fast, but he is dodgeable with plenty of practice. When he stops, he shoots homing missiles at you. I like this attack, as if you get hit, you fall right into his path, and this punishes a player for having bad reflexes. The real problem with the fight is if you have his weakness, as the point of the fight is to dodge his charge, but now you are encouraged to get up close to hit him with his shield. Why? I think that a different weakness would have kept this Robot Master from sinking to the bottom of this list. Number 83, Airman. Airman is fine on paper. He shoots 3 volleys of tornadoes, each in one of 3 different configurations, and hops to the other side of the screen. The problem is the execution. First off, some of these jumps are near pixel perfect, especially when I have to deal with Airman pushing you backwards when he blows them at you. Second, they deflect Buster shots. This is the deal breaker for me. Plus, using Leaf Shield just turns this fight into waiting in the corner, letting him jump over, and then you fire 3 Leaf Shields and win. That's it. This is not a fun boss to fight. It either requires too much of the player or too little. I'm not a fan of this fight. Number 81, Slash Man. This Wolverine wannabe suffers from the same problem as Shadow Man. He's too fast, but the reason he's up here is because of his phase where he jumps around and slashes at you. His jumps telegraph when he will attack, and it is fun to get down. But when he jumps to the ceiling and drops eggs, that is when this fight stops being fun. The eggs are random, and if you get hit by one, there's no avoiding Slash Man charging at you. Then, even if you dodge them, they leave goo that stops you and leave you open to Slash Man. This could be interesting if it was an exercise in dodging, but there was 5 of these things before he charges, and they fall way too fast. What's worse, if you use his weakness on him, he never does the only good phase he has. He only jumps up to the ceiling. If you turned this around so that freezing him stopped the egg phase, this would have been a much better boss. Number 80, Woodman. I have logged so many minutes into this fight it isn't funny. When I first played Mega Man 2, I avoided Heat Man for fear of his Yoku block, and because of this, Woodman gave me so much grief. The falling leaf attack isn't so bad, nor is him slowly jumping toward you, but his leaf shield is way, way too tall, and super hard to dodge. Plus, it takes away too much of your health in this already frantic fight. At least the weakness lets you get this madness over with in 2 shots. Number 79, Charge Man. Thomas the Train, is that you? No, but he could be just as annoying if you try and fight him with his weakness. But how is Buster Only? Him charging at you is nicely telegraphed, but I wish that where he dropped his coals was better in that regard. But the weakness, oh the weakness. It suffers from Dive Man syndrome, trying to use a weapon that only really works at short range against a boss that you're trying to get away from. No, thank you. Just stick to Buster on this one. Number 78, Plant Man. This robot master is a disappointment to Plant Gang members everywhere, me included. He spawns a shield, jumps, then fires it. Rinse and repeat. This is just monotonous. You need a second attack, maybe even a third one. Summon some vines, throw a flower projectile that splits into petals, something to make this fight more interesting. Blizzard attack is a decent weakness, but it should have been speedier so you could get 2 hits on him between his shields. This whole ordeal is the definition of slow, and that's no good. Number 77, Starman. Let's start with the pattern. It's simple, but I like it, especially with his shield projectile being so big. So why is this fight so low, you might ask? The weakness. The way I see it, there is no way this weakness could have been used effectively. It can't shoot in the air, so that takes away half of what makes this fight interesting. But if they had it so it broke the shield, this fight would have been too easy. Starman didn't deserve this weakness. Fight him Buster Only, and you'll see he really shines. Number 76, Iceman. A pattern that had some potential but repeats itself so much that it becomes dull. Having to make tight jumps like the ones in this fight could have been fun, but it should have been mixed with other attacks, not just the same over and over and over and over again. The Thunder Beam is a great weakness for this fight though, even though I think it makes it a bit too easy. I think Iceman should have taken some time to chill and come up with some different attacks. Too bad, it would have been nice to see something interesting. Number 75, Pump Man. Welcome to the sewers, home of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We can't fight them because we're stuck with Pump Man. I like the idea of this fight in concept, and he has some very nice telegraphs, but his shield takes way too many hits to break for this fight to be fun. Maybe add in some more attacks, or just make his shield easier to break. All it took was one change and Pump Man would have been destined for greatness. Too bad he got stuck with averageness. And the Thunderwolf, an interesting weakness that failed in its execution. Number 74, Flashman. You know how some things get better with age? Well, that wasn't the case with Flashman and Brightman. Despite coming 2 games before Brightman, Flashman is the better fight. He runs around the arena, which wouldn't normally be interesting, but the layer shape compensates for this. What puts this fight so low is one tiny, minuscule detail. The telegraph on his time stopper is a little too short. If it was as long as Brightman's, the fight would have been improved. But let's get off this topic. I don't want to give Brightman any more credit than I already have. Number 73, Fireman. This robot master burns with justice, and you will too when you see how fast his attacks come out. This is Electman levels of bad. If you move in a certain way, he'll end up shooting slowly, but then all you have to do is shoot, jump, and then repeat. In contrast, however, I love this fight with the weakness. It's much faster paced and exciting. Sure, the fight can still be exploited like in Buster Only, but why would you want to do that when this fight is so much fun? Don't pick him as your first boss, and you will have a great time with this robot master. Number 72, Quickman. For having Quick in his name, I find Quickman to be slower than Shadow Man and Electman, and this is a good thing. While I think he is a bit too fast for the average player, the room layout helps to compensate for this. His quick boomerang attack has too little room for air though, but at least it is balanced out by lower damage output. I think this fight has one of the best weaknesses though. It allows you to get an edge on Quickman, but still makes it so you have to take out half his remaining health, so you can't completely cheat the fight. If only he had been a little friendlier in Buster Only, and he would have been much higher up. Number 71, Cloudman. Cloudman was so close to being near the top of the list. He has nicely telegraphed attacks, a little variation in changing the range so you can't get comfortable dealing with one direction, and a good design. What kills him? Look at the footage and see for yourself. This fight is completely ruined by his weakness. In my opinion, this is one of the worst weaknesses in the classic series because it trivializes the fight entirely and is boring to boot. Too bad, because he was an amazing boss otherwise. Number 70, Toad Man. Perhaps the most notorious of Mega Man 4's Robot Masters, kinda like him. While it is true you can manipulate his pattern, which is a big loss for him, if you don't, then it's an okay fight. And I like the weakness. You can detonate the drill bomb in midair to catch him if he jumps. This is a very well thought out weakness, unlike the rest of this fight. Number 69, Guts Man. Jump, throw, jump, throw, jump, throw. You get the pattern. It may seem boring, but it's an okay one. What ruins it is the precision required to avoid being stunned when Guts Man lands. If you don't time it just right, you get a giant boulder right to the face, and they deal pretty good damage to Mega Man. I like the weakness, but depending on the RNG, Guts Man can just jump away due to how long the Hyper Bomb takes to detonate. Guts Man just isn't solid in any way if you can't tell. Number 68, Needle Man. Imagine Metal Man on coffee. That's Needle Man. He'll jump around the room shooting super fast volleys of needles, and when you get close, he'll thrust his head at you. Normally I complain about this, but this is a pretty fair challenge. Maybe the speed could have been reduced, but too much and he'd become Metal Man. The thing that puts this fight in the bottom tier is the weakness. The Gemini laser is too unreliable to hit him, and you can only have one on screen at a time. It's an interesting concept to use against him, but the weapon wasn't worthy of this Robot Master. Sorry, Needle Man. Number 67, Tomahawk Man. Like many of the Robot Masters in this part of the list, Tomahawk Man suffers from a poor weakness on an otherwise good boss. Trying to get close to him to damage him with a plant barrier doesn't work well in the first place, but to make it worse, any projectile Tomahawk Man uses will instantly break your shield. And even with full weapon energy, you can't lose a single plant barrier or you can't win without using a different weapon. Plus, and this is a Buster only problem too, he can corner you, and if you have bad timing, say goodbye to that plant barrier. It's too bad, he had decent Buster only, but he's stuck with a terrible weakness. Number 66, Astro Man. Neat design with decent attacks, an okay weakness, and terrible voice clips. Astro Man's the definition of an average Robot Master. That's about all I have to say for him. He's just average. Alright, so this is the point in the rankings where the Robot Masters start to go from bad to, at the very least, average. This is the threshold where my comments start to get a bit more positive, but also be nitpicking Robot Masters more, as that's the only way we're going to get a winner. With that started, next up is number 65, Cutman. The original Robot Master and one of the most iconic in the series. Nice qualities, but those don't help him in the judging. And no, that does not mean I don't like him. What I don't love is the hectic Buster only fight. It has some good parts, like the rolling cutter attack, but he's a little too jumpy. Granted, this was balanced out somewhat by a higher damage input, but it doesn't save it. However, his jumpiness with the weakness is really well done. You need timing to hit him with the Guts Arm. I think it's a little too harsh to have him only lose if you hit him with both of the blocks, but I can't change it, so Cutman will have to stay right here. Number 64, Tengu Man. Just look at the background of this fight. It looks beautiful. Nice flying dojo and leaves. But now we gotta get to the actual fight. Right off the bat, I love his design. His voice though? The fight itself is good audio and visual telegraphs for each of his attacks, and I really like the fact that with proper timing, you can get shots in on Tengu Man when he is flying. That last point goes right out the window with his weakness. This is probably the worst choice in the game, considering Frostwave only travels on the ground, and Tengu Man is flying 90% of the time. Once again, a prime example of a fun Robot Master weakened extremely by their weakness. Number 63, Blizzard Man. Now that I'm looking at him, I have to wonder if Blizzard Man and Strike Man are brothers. After all, they both have amazingly well done attacks, rolling into a ball and coming after Mega Man. It's well thought out and requires a little skill to dodge, which I appreciate. But his Snowflake attack is on the opposite end of the good game spectrum. It just covers too wide an area, and even though it's slow, Blizzard Man often takes up too much of the arena for you to run away. This one attack devalues the entire fight. And I love the weakness with it putting a little spin on the fight, since you have to arc your projectile a different way. At least this fight got improved in Strike Man, which will come up later. And now I'm positive that these two are brothers, no doubt about it. Number 62, Gravity Man. Neat concept, moderate execution. After an exciting stage toying with gravity, it's nice to see that Gravity Man at least uses it, but everything surrounding that is just okay. By that I mean the only thing he does is run around, jump a little, and fire Buster shots. That's it. Weakness is also just okay. Hitting him with the star barrier by ramming him with it is a fine idea, but the fact that the shield crumbles after one of his buster shots isn't. Gravity is such an underutilized idea in the Mega Man series, and with Gravity Man being the only one to take advantage of it, he needed better attacks. Number 61, Wind Man. Prepare to be blown away by a robot master that feels like a hodgepodge of ideas that turned out with surprising results. His fans blowing you toward him is an idea taken from Metal Man's conveyor belt, but I think they should have had a stronger pull. With diagonally arcing projectiles, they're nothing special and not worth talking about. Him charging at you, though, that is a fun attack. Well telegraphed and everything. It's what puts this fight this high. The weakness is more a war of attrition than anything, so not a ton to say there. Nothing more to say about him in general. Number 60, Torchman. The power of Torch Jitsu is unleashed. Torchman is one of my favorite robot masters. Sadly, he is down here for one reason. His attacks are very fast. They're leaks better than Shadow Man and Elect Man with their speed, but if they had been a little slower, he would have been saved. On the other hand, I think his double gear attacks could have been sped up a bit. The real kicker is that all of these attacks are really well put together and fun to dodge. Maybe Smokey could have showed up and slowed him down, for burning down a forest. Number 59, Sparkman. Would you believe it, Sparkman doesn't suffer from Spark Mandrill syndrome. In fact, he has an amazing weakness that does what any good weakness should. Change up the fight a little, but give you a fair advantage. In this case, it means getting closer to him to deal damage with the Shadow Blade. Because I can't think of a good transition, I'll just have to jump right into his attack. It should have been attacks. Each part of this attack, and maybe needing a little tweaking, is worsened by the fact that they were combined into one. Attempting to dodge the giant spark ball while also dealing with the 8 tiny ones would have worked so much better if they were separate. This was a rather shocking design choice, wouldn't you say? Number 58, Waveman. Waveman ranks up there as one of my all-time favorite Buster-only fights. Sure, it has a pattern, but requires tight movements to avoid. With that said, you can probably guess why he's down so low. That's right, the weakness. It has one redeeming quality, the fact that it works in tandem with dodging his harpoon attack. But hitting Waveman with it while not damaging yourself is a miracle. Charge Kick in and of itself isn't a great weapon, so the fact of the matter is that pairing it with Waveman most likely wasn't going to work in any way. Number 57, Stone Man. Jump, jump, bury, repeat, repeat. Oh wait, there's some rocks you're probably not going to get hit by. Stone Man's a very boring fight, and more or less you're just shooting at him while he jumps around. The Power Stone attack he uses is weak and almost never hits you. But fighting Stone Man with his weakness makes the fight way more engaging and faster paced. What it needed. Maybe it's just me, but I like Stone Man's pattern. It almost rocks. It just doesn't work in Buster only. Plain and simple. Number 56, Shade Man. Sooner or later we'd have to come to a vampire-themed robot master. The stage was awesome, but the boss fight is interesting. Buster only is a nice challenge of dodging him in the air, and while this is balanced out by giving you plenty of time to attack when he is on the ground, the room is way too claustrophobic to dodge at least one of his sound wave attacks. But with this weakness, the fight goes all over the place. I don't really know how to describe it. The fight when using Wild Coil is just weird. I'm pretty sure it's something with the arc of the spring projectile. Neither good nor bad, just weird. Now, I can stop throwing shade at the weakness fight and move on. Number 55, Skull Man. The Mega Man developers have said in the past that they scrapped a whole level just to include Skull Man. But was his fight worthy of this honor? Sure. Not by a huge amount, but sure. My biggest problem is his buster shots are way too fast. Plus, he needed movement other than that in his pattern. Dust Crusher is a very fun weakness, but it doesn't change the fight a ton. I would have liked to see more from this Robot Master, but he works as he is. Number 54, Burst Man. When I first played Mega Man 7, I took a fairly common recommendation and went to Burst Man Buster only. My mistake. He came, he saw, he conquered. One time after the other. But now looking back on it, he has a really great pattern. It's too bad it is way too precise for beginner players. That's what demoted him here. And when I tried him with the Freeze Cracker, it was still interesting, but he only used his 3 bubble attack, which I think is the worst of his 3 attacks for precision. I still hold a grudge with him, and he'll probably last until I beat him Buster only with no damage. Who knows how long that'll take. Number 53, Plug Man. Are you ready for my take on Plugman? You better, because I'm gonna sock it to him. With this weakness, Plugman is a pushover, and the only way I think this could have been fixed is if the Jewel satellite could take 2 or so of his electric spheres before breaking. But Plugman gets way better Buster only, because he's a boss that forces you to move. His electric spheres drop on your position after climbing onto the ceiling, and it's your fault if you were standing still. But the developer tried to teach this by also having Plugman jump around. If only the weakness was better, because Plugman is an excellent robot master for teaching the player. Number 52, Top Man. The only real criticism about this fight I can bring up is that everything, from his attacks to his weakness to doing it Buster only, is good. None of it is great, but it's just good. So take everything I say right now and think of me giving it a 7 out of 10. Because I don't think there's going to be any criticism in these next few sentences. But Top Man isn't one of my favorites, so I have to explain why. Here we go. His shooting top pattern gives the player time to react but requires a little skill to dodge. So does his spinning attack. And his weakness requires even more timing with how the hard knuckle works. Good weakness. Number 51, Bubble Man. If you haven't already, I highly recommend you try the game Mega Maker. It's a fan-made game that lets you make Mega Man levels, and the best part is if you put Bubble Man on dry land, he starts crying. It's hilarious. But in his actual fight, he's got good telegraphs and fun attacks, and risk versus reward when you try to deal extra damage when jumping up because you have to dodge his spears. Sounds great, but then you realize he gets absolutely annihilated by the metal blades. It's not his fault, those things are broken, but that doesn't excuse the fact that the weakness fight is pretty boring. Number 50, Turbo Man. Another one of Mega Man 7 bosses that I get annoyed by, and it's all because of his flame wheel. It's too large, has a weird arc, and in general it's just annoying. The rest of his patterns are fine, and even the flame wheel is dodgeable, but it requires too much of a player. Noise Crush was a great weakness, but then the fight devolves into Turbo Man driving left and right across the screen. Granted, it's hilarious, but it doesn't have a good design, or even a fun one. Alright, now I'm burned out about talking about Turbo Man. On to the next Robot Master. Number 49, Pharaoh Man. Pharaoh Man takes no prisoners, in the Ruby Spears cartoon or in Buster only. It's a fast, frantic fight with great attacks and good telegraphs. Then you use the Flash Stopper and the fight turns into you standing still and shooting him until he dies. That's it. Pharaoh Man deserved better. At least the cartoon did him justice. In conclusion, Pharaoh Man is awesome. Number 48, Spring Man. This bouncy robot master, who predated Bounce Man by about 23 years, is another robot master complicated by Mega Man 7's ways of handling weaknesses. When fighting in Buster only, he has a few nice attacks, especially jumping in the air, and makes you take position into account when dodging his spring, but also not getting too close or he'll grab you. When you start using Slash Claw, the fight turns into him only using one attack, his jumping one, then falling down and letting you hit him. Rinse and repeat until he's dead. The more I see these weaknesses in Mega Man 7, it makes me wonder if they are inspired by Mega Man X, which has a lot of great qualities, but this was not one of them. Number 47, Drill Man. Another fight that's drilled into my brain. Drill Man has 2 attacks, one that works great and another that was failed in execution. His drilling attack works great and adds an element of timing, but shooting the drill bombs is too fast and too chaotic. The fight is better with his weakness. The dive missile works excellently for his drilling attack. If only the drill bombs were fixed, this fight might have been redeemed into the upper echelons of this list. Number 47, Centaur Man. Fun fact, did you know that in the Mega Man 6 manga, Centaur Man was actually a woman in disguise and in love with Nightman? Who would have thought? In the fight itself, there are interesting ideas being thrown around, mostly working well but needing a few tweaks. The Buster spread shot, an amazing idea that could have been utilized better by having it shot at different angles. Increasing time, given just a tiny bit more of a telegraph, this would have been the best time-stopping Robot Master, but she, comes a little short. I really like this fight, but these little adjustments could have made it even better. Number 46, Snake Man. So, the other day I fought the Midgard Zalem for the first time. After that, Snake Man is underwhelming in comparison. His attacks are tricky to dodge and fun, but ultimately just a pattern. His snake attack, though, really well done. Nicely telegraphed. It's what puts this fight where it is. And the weakness, it's good, but I don't like that it doesn't change the fight in a small but meaningful way, a la Sparkman. It may sound like I'm being harsh, but those are more nitpicks that I'm exaggerating because of how cool that Zalem looks. In Final Fantasy VII, it's my first time playing it, and it is extremely good. Already broken my top 10 games of all time. Number 45, Gyro Man. Oh, so close to being great. It's the weakness. It's fine, but it's not interesting and more just who can last longer. At least there's some timing required to avoid using it during Gyro Man's iframes, otherwise you'll waste ammo. But Buster only. This is way up there. Interesting attacks and hiding behind the clouds to fire Gyro Spinner is absolutely genius. Number 44, Ring Man. This fight is an example of being between good and great. This Buster only fight is frantic, but ultimately manageable. Maybe it's a little too speedy, I don't know. The weakness opens up this fight to so much more variety though. Being able to angle your Pharaoh shots when Ringman is in the air gives this fight a much more dynamic feel. Like a lot of the bosses so far, about the only thing wrong with Ringman is the speed and timing of his attacks. That's it, he's great otherwise. Now we've penetrated the halfway point of this list. This is probably the point where you'll start hearing a lot of positives, but also a lot more nitpicks, some of which could be extremely small, because these Robot Masters needed ranked and this is how I did it. Even if it might seem like the negatives outweigh the positives, that's only because this is how I can explain my decision for where they are. And with that stated, let's get on to number 42. Number 42, Search Man. Never have I despised bushes as much as these in my life. They are what holds back this fight in the Buster only one. Sure, it's normally a frantic fight with missiles and those spinny thingies, but they're well telegraphed and fun to dodge. But those bushes. Searchman gives no indication to which one he's in, and if you guessed wrong, get ready for a face full of missiles. At least this was addressed with his weakness, the flame sword. It is so satisfying to burn down the bush and surprise Searchman. But you can't do that in Buster only, so Searchman goes down the list. Number 41, Junkman. Oh, Junkman, I can't give thee enough Buster only credit. Lots of attacks, all well telegraphed and so fun to dodge. But then thy weakness appear on Mega Man, and all thou dost do is jump around and throw junk. How could thou do this to me? You had so much potential, ruined by the Thunderbolt. Number 40, Gemini Man. A two-phase robot master in Mega Man almost 30 years before the double gear system? Now this is intriguing. I really like the first phase, because when you shoot, he does too. So you have to think about when you want to fire. Second phase is kinda boring though. All he does is run back and forth, occasionally jumping and shooting his Gemini laser. A little more variety could have been used here. The Search Snake is a weakness that works very well, but doesn't help change the second half of the fight that much. At least the first phase was awesome. Number 38, Commando Man. What a commandoing presence. Commando Man's very jumps shake the earth, but this combined with the speed of his commando bombs lowers his score. I like the idea of the commando bombs, and everything was executed right, except for how fast they move. Hard to dodge, plus you have to deal with getting stunned by Commando Man's stomps. I like the fight with the wheel cutter because it makes hit and run tactics the best choice against him. Kinda fitting, huh? Number 39, Bounce Man. Taking the trophy for the largest Robot Master as of 2020, Bounce Man also takes the cake for one of the most boring Robot Master fights. He bounces around, maybe throws some punches a la Spring Man, and starts bouncing again. I like that you can change his momentum depending on the power of your Buster shot, but that's it. And his speed gear, faster bouncing, that's all. Use his weakness, however, and this fight gets way more interesting. It causes them to split apart, making it simultaneously harder to dodge more projectiles, but you also have an advantage in dealing damage. If they'd done this with the Buster only fight, it would have been quite a bit more interesting. Number 37, Hard Man. And now, for a boss that strangely uses attacks that don't even fit his theme. His flying fists are an interesting attack, a bit too wild to be great. But I like the idea that your positioning determines how the fists will arc back. And his ground slam, nicely telegraphed, and I think it is at just the right speed. And Magnet Mind for a weakness, they work perfectly. All that lowered this fight was the fists. On a semi-related note, Hard Man is one of the hardest, pun intended, bosses for beginners in Mega Man 3, and I died plenty of times before getting the Magnet Minds and finding they were his weakness. Number 36, Crash Man. Did you know Crash Man has clashing? If you're a Mega Man fan, you definitely know that was intentional. Names in different countries. He's Crash Man here, but in Japan he's Clash Man. What isn't clashing is his pattern. It's just about strategy perfection, save for one Robot Master you'll see later. He jumps whenever you fire a buster shot, and this requires you to have good timing to land shots. The crash bombs are wonderfully done with the explosion effect after they land. Switch your weapon to the air shooter and he becomes a pushover. He still has phenomenal patterns, but it only takes 2 to 3 hits for him to fall. Or Crash Man. Number 35, Jewel Man. Know that Robot Master I said had a better strategy aspect? This is him. Jewel Man jumps when you jump, but his jumps are so high you can run under. His jewel barrier requires strategy as you want to limit your shots to when he is far away, so you have time to react to a jewel projectile. And the black hole bomb for his weakness? So close to being a shining example of a weakness. The only thing I have wrong with the fight is that Jewel Man takes way too long to respawn a Jewel Shield. That's it. Other than that, this is a great Robot Master, but there are still better ones in my opinion. Such as number 34, Tundra Man. If anyone saw my channel name before I renamed it, that channel name was Nitro Tundra. The Nitro choice came because it sounded cool and my first pick for a channel name wasn't available, but Tundra was all about Tundra Man. I was so excited to fight him when he was first revealed back in late 2018, and I wasn't disappointed. His patterns are really fun to learn, and really the only gripe I have is that if you use your speed gear during his speed gear phase, he becomes a bit too slow. And while I love the fact that his weakness is an homage to Iceman's in the first game, it kills him a little too quickly. Small things, but when you're judging this late in the competition, especially for one of your favorite Robot Masters, these things matter. Number 33, Metal Man. One of the first Robot Masters I ever fought, and he was so much fun and still is. He has one of the best patterns in the series, and the switching conveyor belt helps to keep this fight interesting. With his weakness, the quick boomerang, you have to get it up close to hit him. I think that's fine in concept, but it's a little too close in execution to safely avoid getting hit. And using his own weapon against him? Watch this clip. It's pathetic, but kinda funny. Number 32, Clown Man. I'll see you in my dreams is his death quote, and this is very ridiculous and nonsensical, and a little frightening, perfectly suited for him. That beautiful monstrosity of a Robot Master. I don't quite understand the choice of electricity for a clown, but it actually works. All 3 of his attacks are telegraphed in a good way and are fun to dodge, but my one gripe with them is that's way too easy for him to go from the Thunder Claw straight into his Thunder Carnival and damage you. His weakness is great, the Tornado Hold giving you an advantage over his swinging claw attack, but still keeping a fair difficulty in the fight. Just don't clown around and get rid of this guy ASAP. Number 30, Magnet Man. While the easiest of Mega Man 3's Robot Masters, he is far and away the best. He has a great pattern that varies between 2 different attacks. The magnet missiles are perfect, but I would have liked his magnet pull to have been a little bit stronger to encourage the player to slide more. Since he is the first in the weakness order, he would have been a great teaching fight. Spark Shot as a weakness is fun, but I wish it would have done something like weaken his magnet pull after a few shots, so skilled players could be rewarded. Still, it works good enough. Magnet Man's a magnet for compliments, and I'm more than happy to give it to him. Number 29, Crystal Man. Now we have a pristine Robot Master fight, who with only one fix would have been higher up on this list. His weakness being the gyro spinner is perfect. His movements are just right, and his one-shot attack is fun, if a little too easy to dodge. But my problem is his 4 Crystal Eye attack. The screen gets too hectic too quickly, especially if he then uses one of his single crystal shots. Take one of the crystal balls away, and it would have been great. That's all he needed. I guess a good metaphor is a crystal with a tiny scratch on it. It may seem insignificant, but it hurts the value. Number 28, Heat Man. Heat Man is easily the best Robot Master in Mega Man 2. Only thing I can say bad about him is his attack immediately after starting the battle. If you don't know how it works, it'll seem cheap. Now it's time to say his positives. He has great telegraphs, a fast-paced fight, that dashing fire attack is so well done, and his triple fire shots arc in an interesting way for you to dodge. Just get rid of that first attack, Capcom. I don't know why it's there. Why disgrace this wonderful robot? Number 27, Chill Man. I could make a cool joke right here, but I'll limit it to that pun. Chill Man has a unique attack style that makes the fight more engaging. He runs around and shoots 2 ice shots that freeze you if you get hit, but if you dodge them, they'll leave spikes that eventually shatter. My only complaint is a small one, and it's with the weakness. Since Chillman is moving around in the solar flares a little slow, it's hard to try and fire your shots while also avoiding him and his shots. You have to cut him some slack though. Turns out he can't turn his neck. And this is the Robot Master that's fighting global warming. Why not give him that? Upon recording this segment of the script, I've just realized that I started to make a mistake at Searchman at number 43. I accidentally said 42, and I've been going with that ever since. So take every Robot Master position I've said so far, starting at Searchman, and add 1 to it. With that said, here's the real number 27, Blade Man, who is my favorite Robot Master of all time. I love his design, but too bad he couldn't take the top spot. It's just his weakness, and it's not all his fault. It's that the Commando Bomb responds to your inputs, and if you try to dodge one of his blades, the Commando Bomb will go awry. Granted, it's not a huge deal, but it's big enough to put him in 27th. As for his regular attacks and buster only, they may be repetitive, but I love the kind of challenge. Sadly, I can't no damage him yet, but that doesn't detract from how good this fight is, as he is my personal favorite, and it's so fun to fight him. Number 26, Bomb Man. By leaps and bounds, the best Robot Master from the original. His tendency to jump away from you when you get too close is by far his best trait. Now, this next point is going to sound really nitpicky, but I want his bombs to go just a little bit faster to up the challenge. Firestorm is also a very good weakness, but it doesn't add too much variation. The only way I could see it changing the fight is if you use the fire shield from the attack to damage Bomb Man when he jumps away, but how many people are going to think of that when playing? I know there are some, but really that's far from the majority. Number 25, Nitro Man. In case you forgot, no, I did not name my previous channel off of Nitro Man. I don't even remember if I knew he existed at that time. But Nitro Man would have been more than worthy of being in that name. The battle is really fast paced, and to really master this fight you have to learn the arcs of his wheel cutters. This is a challenge, but very well done by the developers. His weakness is also super appropriate with the chill spike damaging his motorcycle form, but I wish there was a way to deal major damage while in his humanoid form. Other than that, this is a really good Robot Master. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Number 24, Strike Man. Here we go, the Gemini laser done right. It is a bit slower, but it also arcs towards you, making it simultaneously easier and harder, which I think was a good change. And Strike Man rolling into a ball actually works, because he has some variation, unlike his brother Blizzard Man. And the Triple Blade is such a good weapon as a weakness, because it gives you an edge but doesn't ruin the fight. Coincidentally, even with Blade Man being my favorite Robot Master, the Triple Blade is my favorite Mega Man weapon. It's just so versatile. Number 23, Galaxy Man. I love astronomy, and I really like Galaxy Man. He's one of the most fun Robot Masters in design and in his battle. His Black Hole Bomb is one of the best weapons in the series, and he uses it so well here, making you keep moving, but I also like the fact that you can slowly manipulate it. Really, the only problem I have is he could have a little bit of a better telegraph on his attack where he swoops from one end of the screen to the other. What about Concrete Shot as his weakness? Do I really need to say it? It's amazing. Now, if we could only confirm the existence of white holes, we could make a really nice rival for Galaxy Man. Number 22, Acid Man. First off, I absolutely love his design. I wanted to call my channel Acid Tundra because of him and how cool he looks, but that was taken. So now I'm just left with a fight against Acid Man. Let's get his worst quality out of the way. His shield breaks too fast when using the block dropper. If it had taken 2 hits, this fight would have been much higher on this list and a much better fight in general. And with nitpicks deciding places right now, this is where he stays. But all of his other attacks are fun to dodge, and I especially love his speed gear phase and having to wear down his shield with the Mega Bustard. Acid Man just melts my heart. Number 21, Splash Woman. The series' only female Robot Master as of recording this, disregarding the whole Centaur Man debacle. Got a really good Robot Master fight. The fishes are much more of a risk-reward attack, so depending on your preferences you can play it safe or try and dodge them to get in some extra damage. I also really like the Laser Trident attack, but perhaps it's just a very tiny bit too fast. Hornet Chaser as her weakness, however, perfectly built around this boss. I really like the design choice that you have to time your shots so the bees don't go after the fish. And that is about going to be one of the pickiest nitpicks on the Trident I'm going to give, because it's going to get more positive from here. Now it's time for the top 20. Nitpicks, if any, will be to the tiniest detail, and sooner or later they'll probably be gone entirely. So here's number 20. Number 20, Tornado Man. Prepare to be blown away by this awesome Robot Master. He uses the same attack, but keeps it varied with different patterns he uses each time, and is constantly moving around to keep the fight interesting. And I love how they add spikes on the ceiling to add an extra element of challenge to the battle. And the plug ball is a great weakness against him, especially because it can travel along the ceiling. The only thing I wanted changed is a little bit more time to react when he drops from flying. That would make this just a bit fairer. Number 19, Flame Man. Well, he does not burn with the fires of justice like Fireman. Flame Man has a pretty cool mustache, and his attacks are just as good. His flame pillars may seem unfair at first, but look closely and you'll find the pattern to them. Then the challenge is positioning yourself for them. Him shooting his flame projectiles is also really fun to dodge, especially to me, but I wish they were just a smidgen faster to up the challenge. And his weakness being the windstorm is one of the best boss weaknesses in the series, by letting you shoot through the flame pillars that normally block Buster shots. This is how you give a fair advantage in a Robot Master battle. Flame Man has clearly done justice to his appearance in Mega Man 6. Number 18, Sword Man. The Honorable Sword Man challenges Mega Man from his volcanic lair, leading to an epic one-on-one samurai showdown. Flame Man has some of the best telegraphs of any Robot Master, from his little flames when he returns from his spinning phase, to jumping onto the wall to summon the statue. Really, the only thing that's missing is a longer telegraph on his jumping phase. It's too sudden. The water balloon appears to act like a plain weakness at first, but then you realize you can extinguish the flames during one of his attacks and get extra damage. Swordman isn't just sorta good, he's excellent. Number 17, Yamato Man. From one honorable warrior to another, Yamato Man edges out Swordman because of his weakness. It must have been built for this fight, because it works just too well for him. And his attacks are just as well telegraphed as Swordman, and his triple spear attack while in the air is especially good, and his standout attack. But his attack where he throws the spear to the other end of the room is so fun to watch as he runs over to get it. This is subtle comedy gold. Number 16, Impact Man. A 3-in-1 Robot Master whose charge attack has broken more acid barriers than I can count. If there was a little more time between his first charge and his second one, I would be happy. But his transformation attacks were just incredibly well put together by the developers. Sorry if this dialogue is getting a bit repetitive, but I don't have a ton of ways to phrase all my positive comments for these Robot Masters. Number 15, Hornet Man. Clearly better than anyone in the B-movie. Hornet Man is so good. He only has one attack, the Hornet Chaser, but the 3 Bs move in a really nice pattern, and they take just the right amount of Buster shots to kill. I could ask for a second attack, maybe some honey or flying around, but I'll take Hornet Man as good as he is now. Number 14, Magma Man. This is a true test of precision. You could use the Tornado Blow against Magma Man, and even then you have to have good timing, otherwise you'll burn out your ammo too quickly. But Buster only, this is a true challenge as you need patience and good movements to avoid his Magma Bazooka. And even then he'll mix it up by jumping 2 platforms instead of 1. This could have used a telegraph, but I think the fight would have been as good then as it is now. Number 13, Solar Man. Another Robot Master willing to test your patience. Solar Man takes it to another level from Magma Man. His sun grows bigger if you hit it with Buster shots, so you have to be very patient if you want to land attacks. And it was such a smart choice to add a point where he tilts his head in case you were rushing. And the solar projectiles are just the right speed to dodge. I also love how the water shield shrinks his sun, but I think it does kill him too quickly. Add some precision to using the weakness, and this could have been one of my top 5 Robot Masters. At least he seems to burn with justice, or at least teaching his yoga classes. Number 12, Nightman. The apple of Centaur Woman's eye. I'm just gonna go with the manga for any time I have to bring this up from now on. This is such an interesting dynamic. Nightman shines as a perfectly paced, slower Robot Master. The Yamato spear against him is the perfect attack since it pierces his shield. His Night Mace is also fun to dodge, but I wish he did something more when he was jumping. Something a little more impressive like throwing a mace or something. At least he's impressive to one Robot Master. Number 11, Frost Man. This lovable giant was misplaced from the top 10 by one fault, the size of the room. Even with how big he is, there is a chance he could get off screen. But when he is on screen, he had such good telegraphs and fun attacks, and the flash bomb stunning him whenever he's winding up his ice punch, which was an excellent way to utilize the flash bomb's abilities. Frostman will forever be one of my favorites, but the real question is, how could parts from this wonderful Robot Master be used to build Clown Man? This is it, the top 10, the creme de la creme of Robot Master fights. These first few might have a few nitpicks, but after that it's going to be nothing but positive. Maybe an explanation of why they are in the place they are in, but that's about going to be it. Now on to the worst of the best. Number 10, Blockman. I remember the day I got the issue of Game Informer with Mega Man 11 on the cover. He appeared in there unnamed, the only Robot Master we knew about. And when I finally got to fight him in the demo for the game, Blockman changed my perception of what a Robot Master battle could be. He had 3 phases. The first one was fine, typical Robot Master fare, but the second was awesome when he transformed into the Block Golem. Third phase though, a little underwhelming, but still fun. And even though we didn't have it back then, the Chain Blast as a weakness works so well, especially during the second phase trying to take down his block form. This Robot Master was no blockhead. Number 9. Sheep Man. While one of the most criticized Robot Masters, Sheep Man stands as one of the best. His fight is filled with so much variation, from the way he throws his electric projectiles to the clouds he turns himself into to even jumping around. Rebound Striker works fine as a weakness, but I wish it was more like the bounce ball from Mega Man 11, so it was easier to hit his cloud form. In Buster Only, this sheep is extremely fun to fight, and the best Robot Master Mega Man 10 has to offer. Number 8. Blast Man. Like he tells Mega Man not to be, Blast Man is far from being a dud. In fact, he may have the fastest paced Robot Master battle in the entire series. It has explosions, chain explosions, big explosions, and, you guessed it, more explosions. He constantly keeps you on his toes and has a boisterous attitude to boot. Using the Blazing Torch against him rewards skill, as the better you line up the arc of the Blazing Torch, the more bombs that explode and you don't have to deal with. This is how all fast-paced Robot Master fights should be. Fun and rewarding. Number 7. Freeze Man. Freeze Man at first may look like a cacophony of icy chaos, but start the battle and you'll find a pattern that forces you to stay moving the whole fight. Each of the attacks is telegraphed and does an adequate amount of damage. The Junk Shield as a weakness works, but I think the effects it does when landing on Freeze Man and how Freeze Man reacts makes the fight a little too crazy. Far from bad, just takes some getting used to. Once that's done, you have one of the most varied Robot Master fights. Number 6. Fuse Man. Deserving of showing off his theme in the reveal trailer, Fuse Man has the best fight in the newest game of the series. It is well telegraphed and has a sense of progression that other Robot Masters lack. Him changing up the rotating electric orbs and starting to shoot more projectiles makes it a gradual increasing challenge. I also think that his speed gear has just the right speed as to not be too demanding on a player not using their speed gear. His weakness to the bounce ball is really his only fault in that it ends the fight too quickly, especially if you use your power gear. Personally, Fuse Man has my respect for owning a pet rabbit named Watt. As a rabbit owner myself, I have to give him kudos. Number 5. Concrete Man. Far and away Mega Man 9's best. A dynamic fight with patterns that are so well done, and enough variation as to not become stale. Laser Trident is a great weakness for him, but it could have done just a little less damage. That would have made this a perfectly paced fight. That's why he's in 5th place. Number 4. Napalm Man. My third favorite Robot Master behind Blade Man and Tundra Man, Napalm Man delivers a fight filled to the brim with explosions like Blast Man, but is a little more controlled, and I like it this way. His missile attack requires quick reactions, but his napalm arcing attack is just perfect in every way. Crystal Eye is a great weakness, but you should have been able to fire 2 at once. It's not Napalm Man's fault, it's the weapons. But compare Napalm Man to the rest of 5's bosses, and you will see that all of them are closer to a bronze medal compared to Napalm Man. He deserves a gold medal at the least. Number 3. Aquaman. Despite his copyright infringement, Aquaman holds his own in what I consider to be the most fun pattern in the series. It's a fight that gives you time to judge an attack and make your moves accordingly. The water balloon attack teaches you positioning, and water spout encourages the slide. Really, the only very minuscule problem I have with him is the telegraph on his water rope attack being a little too short. It's perfectly serviceable, but I think it could have been tweaked. Aquaman is one of the best Robot Masters in the series and exceeds all the Robot Masters from Mega Man 8. All of them, that is, except for one. Number 2, Grenade Man. Grenade Man and Blast Man look like they would have been best buddies. They love explosions and they're both top tier. But Grenade Man wins out for having more attacks, all of which work extremely well and have great telegraphs. Changing up the fight by blowing up the floor was also a very smart move. It changes how you act in the remainder of that battle. Thunderclaw as a weakness is also great, but I think its slower nature clashes with how fast this fight is. Granted, it does change the fight, but I just find it a bit strange. Now for all the praise I've just heaped on the Grenade Man, who could possibly beat him? Probably not who you expect. Number 1, Dust Man. This is it. The pinnacle of Robot Master battles. Yes, such a good and clean design. His attacks encourage multiple solutions, from either jumping and sliding his junk shots to how you want to approach his vacuum suction. His jumps are just right, not too fast or too slow, and at the right height. The ring boomerang is the absolute perfect weakness. It forces the player to work a little closer to Dustman, but not too close, and the ring boomerang does the perfect amount of damage. Dustman is the standard by which all Robot Masters should be judged. And there we go, all 86 mainline Robot Masters ranked. I know I didn't do the ones from Powered Up, Mega Man and Base, or Mirai Kara no Chaunsensha, but maybe someday I'll update this list with them on it. Who knows, maybe I can even include 8 new Robot Masters from a Mega Man 12? If you sat all the way through this video, thank you. I put a lot of effort into it, and I appreciate you taking the time to see it. As for the future of this channel, that remains undecided. Reviews, rankings, editorials, Mega Man challenges, I haven't decided on any of these, so time will tell what content this channel is host to. With that, thank you for watching, and goodbye.